All right, let's talk about accounting. And I want you to forget everything you think you know about dusty ledgers and boring spreadsheets. Seriously, because today we're going to see that accounting isn't about counting beans. It's about telling a story. It's the secret code that reveals all the plot twists, the wins, and yeah, even the losses behind every single business. So let's get into it and decode this thing together.
I mean, just think about that for a second. With all the chaos of running a business, money coming in, money going out, all day, every day, how does a company actually keep score? How do they know for sure if they're crushing it or just barely hanging on? That question right there is the whole reason accounting even exists.
Well, the answer is that businesses have their own special language they use to talk about their performance, their health, and what they might do next. And that language, yep, it's accounting. But just like any language, if you really want to understand the stories it tells, you've got to start with the basics, with a clear definition of what it actually is.
So let's start with a really common way people first learn about accounting. A lot of folks tend to see it as a kind of system, almost like a machine that's been built for one very specific purpose.
Okay, so here's that first definition. It frames accounting as a system designed to provide quantitative, financial information, all to help people make smart economic decisions. Whoa, that's a bit of a mouthful, right? But basically, just think of it like a machine. You feed in the raw data, and it spits out useful number-based information. It's a pretty solid starting point.
So let's break that down. The key parts here are that it deals with numbers, quantitative stuff. It's mainly financial, meaning you can put a dollar or a euro or a yen sign on it, and its whole purpose is to help people make better choices with their money. But did you spot that limitation? If you can't put a number on it, like, say, how amazing your management team is or that you have the best location in town, this definition says accounting just ignores it. And that feels like a huge part of the story is missing, doesn't it?
And that's exactly why, while that system view is a good start, there's a much more powerful, more dynamic way to think about what accounting really is. It's not just a thing, it's something we actually do.
Now, this is a really important shift in thinking. Instead of seeing accounting as this static system, like a vending machine you put data into to get a report out of, we start to see it as a dynamic process. We're shifting from a noun to a verb. It's not just a thing that exists, it's an active, ongoing series of steps.
And that brings us to what I think is a much better definition. Here, accounting is a process. And just look at those action words: identifying, recording, summarizing, and reporting. See? This isn't just a machine spitting out data. This is a story that's being actively built, piece by piece.
Okay, so if it's a process, what does that process actually look like? Well, the cool thing is it can be broken down into 4 pretty clear, logical steps.
And here they are: identify, record, summarize, and report. I like to think of an accountant as a kind of financial detective. First, they have to identify the clues. Then, they record their notes on everything they find. After that, they have to summarize all the evidence. And finally, they report their findings to the people who need to know, the decision makers.
So step 1, identify, is all about making a judgment call. An accountant has to sift through everything that happens in a business, every single sale, every purchase, every time someone gets paid, and decide which of those events actually matter to the financial story. They're looking for the important clues and tossing out everything else.
Next up, once a financial clue has been identified, it's got to be recorded. It's as simple as that. This is the part where you create a permanent, reliable log of what happened. Every important event gets carefully written down so it can be used later to build that bigger picture.
Now just imagine having a logbook with thousands and thousands of entries. That would be completely overwhelming, right? That's why step 3, summarize, is so crucial. This is where the magic really happens. You take all that raw data and you condense it, you organize it, and you create a clear, simple picture, getting rid of all the noise. It's how you see the whole forest instead of just a bunch of trees.
And finally, we get to step 4, report. This is the grand finale. This is where all that summarized information gets crafted into the official story, the financial statements. These reports are what tell everyone what's going on with the company. This is the finished case file that gets presented to the decision makers.
So we have this system, and we have this 4-step process. But what's it all for? After all that identifying and recording and summarizing and reporting, what is the ultimate payoff? Why do we do all this?
It all comes together right here. You've got the raw data from the business, those are the inputs to the system,
That data gets put through the 4-step process, and what comes out on the other side are the outputs, those financial reports. And the entire purpose, the whole point of those outputs, is to empower people to make smart, informed decisions.
And this quote just nails it, doesn't it? Whether you call it a system or a process, the real goal is exactly the same: identify, measure, and communicate financial information. It's all about empowering people, investors, managers, you, me, anyone with a stake in the game, to stop guessing and start making choices based on the facts.
So you see, accounting isn't really just about what happened in the past. It's about giving us the tools to shape the future. It's the language that turns raw data into smart decisions. Which kind of leaves us with one last question for you to think about. From your own personal budget to the giant global economy, what story are the numbers all around you trying to tell? Thanks for tuning in.